What's up guys? Welcome back to Rejected Content.
Today we are going to be modifying our mini bikes and turning them into real street capable machines. Kind of. We have decided that we need some lights on these bikes. Now, Corey's Coleman comes with a stock LED, but my bike, it doesn't have one. It came with a halogen, which would have been run off the stock charging coil, but that is no more now that we've built these engines. So I need to introduce some LED lights.
We're also going to be throwing in some interesting things like a speedometer, tachometer. I got this nice one with a dial, and Callum has this nice digital one. So we're gonna see if we can get these to function as well.
These are all Amazon budget parts that you can do at home with your very own mini bike.
Your very own skill set. Alright, so as Callum alluded to in the intro, we are no longer powering these accessories off of the flywheel charge coil that comes on many Predators and stock bikes. Unfortunately, there is not currently a performance flywheel on the market that is compatible with a charge coil for accessories. This is due to the fact that at high speeds, the magnets on the inside of the flywheel could theoretically break off and embed themselves into your ball sack. So, after considering many different options, we have decided to both go with one of these, which is a device that accepts a Milwaukee M18 or M20 battery and steps down the voltage to 12 volts, 15 amp max. By ChatGPT's calculations, a 5 watt hour is an amp hour. 3 to 6 hours based on our accessories. So
we'll see.
We'll see, that's plenty.
If you wanted to do this properly, you could use something like a lithium iron phosphate battery, which you can recharge, and they're not super big, and you can mount those to the bike. But they're like $100 at least. But that would work way better for this, and you can plug it into the wall, and it would last a lot longer. But the Milwaukee batteries are easy to just swap in and out, and I think it should give us enough battery life.
I don't think it really makes a big difference to if you're following along at home. Really, the only thing that's going to change is the power connector, whether you're plugging it into a Milwaukee battery, the charge coil, or a Life Pro 4 battery, one of those things.
Indeed.
Should be the same principles at play here. Alright, first thing we are doing is temporarily placing the components on our bikes so that we will know how long the runs are and where splits need to be made, things like that. Alright, let's go.
Starting from the back, my tail light is a beautiful 2-light assembly with running lights and a license plate light. I think I'm gonna delete the bracket though. I don't think I need it. That's for a later date.
Starting from the back of my bike, I also have a taillight solution. This is a slim little LED unit with some nice sequential turn signals, a brake light, and a running light.
Speedometer.
Next up for me, speedometer unit. Light switch and horn.
LED headlight.
Now, we are going to begin planning the routing of the cables. Alright, now that we have determined the rough location of our accessories, we are going to begin considering the different wire runs.
I thought it would be fun to try and design and print a little cowl for the headlight. So I made this before I even got the headlight. It is definitely going to need some tweakification, but we all know I'm a tweaker, so.
Very good fit.
Go away.
What's happening here?
I don't know electricity.
Callum here is charting out the various wires of his Temu switch. Right here we have come up with a rough diagram of most of the components and conductors that we are going to be running. And since my setup is much more simple than his, I'm going to start with those 4 blue wires at the top, extending the tail light forward up to the front. When designing an electrical system like this, I find it helpful to lay out all your parts and then take a look at the common elements that most of these components will need, such as ground. Then think about the direction that electricity will have to flow to get to these components, such as through the battery into a switch and back into the part. This will allow you to start twisting wires and making test connections, which will eventually become a full harness. So I think what we're going to do is terminate our first of these waterproof connectors. Ooh, it does click. Nice. This is the finished result for one side of the connector.
Here we got the headlight switch, turn signals, power switches, all labeled up. I'm gonna add myself a 6-pin connector here, clean this up a little bit, and get ready for the rest of the harness. And I might swap that over to a 2-pin.
Oh yeah, very nice. Just took off the access panel behind the Coleman logo, and we have a bunch of space to be routing cables. Look at that. A beautiful male connector. I believe we have come to a realization. So like I said in the last video, Coleman put the stock location of the voltage regulator up in there. And while this is bigger, I think I can get it to fit. And Callum came up with the idea of mounting the battery harness right here, which
It's not the prettiest thing, but it's definitely the most functional.
it's definitely the most functional and the most convenient because you will be swapping batteries fairly often, and you have access to the master kill switch for the entire battery system. So, you know, maybe it'll draw your attention away from the splatter weld right there.
Got my first connector made, 6 pins. Should be the controls for the headlights and the turn signals. This is already for the power button.
All right, I'm about to perform the first actual modification to this bike since I purchased it, which is going to be mounting this battery box so that I can mount the rectifier underneath it. So I'm just gonna do some self-tappers. Dude, watch this. Oh, come on.
I want to see which wire's high beam and which one's the regular beam, because I don't remember. This to me looks like low beam.
That looks like low beam to me as well.
And there's the high beam.
And that looks pretty bright. I just added female bullet connectors to the other end of this and a male, what I think this is a Peterson connector to this side. And Callum is stepping in to add a 5-pin connector to his tail light.
Doing some testing of this. We just got this to work, and already, bro, the check engine light pops up.
No! So here's the startup sequence.
Blame on the brakes, turn signal. Alright, I just finished wiring up the headlight and therefore also the running lights. So we still got the various turn signals and their indicator in the gauge. And now, when I press this, not only will the headlight turn on, the indicator in the gauge will turn on, and after the animation, the running light will stay on. So now the only lighting feature that I need to finish wiring up is the brake lights.
Here we've got my mostly finished harness. Got our wire from the back to the front, switch, and the relay.
Say that again.
I don't want anyone to ask me why I'm putting in this much effort for a mini bike.
Say that again. I don't want anyone to ask me why I'm putting in this much effort for me.
On.
Okay.
That's good.
Nice.
Heck yeah. Left. That is left.
That is left.
Alright, I was just able to finish. I was able to fit all of the wiring harness into this area. When I flick the master switch, the gauge comes to life.
When I press the horn button, the horn actuates. I was able to actually mount it right there, between there. I also have turn signals. When I flick the right turn signal goes on. Callum unfortunately cannot join me right now, but we will catch up with him when we get back.
Alright, well, we just wrapped up the wiring on his bike.
Yep.
Look at this, watch this. Do yours. Whoa, we were not able to do this before, as you notice. Bikes are not running. We are not faking it. And watch this. Milwaukee
Wow.
battery. Wow. Now, slide it right back in.
I do have turn signals, but they're behind.
Right. So, this turned out great. We're really happy with the results.
I'm
It
pretty
did
pleased.
take a decent amount of effort. It has been about a week since we first started this project.
Mm-hmm. We put a lot of time into planning out the harnesses, picking all the different lights and stuff that we like, and laying it all out nicely to try and make it look decent, even though it's a mini bike.
Obviously, with anything like this, there are many different routes that you can choose to go down. I chose more of a build it and plan along the way, whereas he planned it all out at the beginning, took as much time as he needed, and put together a super duper clean harness. And really, you could just decide what you'd like to do.
Yeah, the key is really just take your time, plan out every component that you need, plan out all the connections, find out what wires are shared everywhere, and then kind of lay it out along the bike and see where it's all got to be. But take your time.
But yeah, we would definitely recommend this for anyone looking to add features to their mini bike. I mean, as you can see, Ridiculous content out!